Well, I actually really like this thing. Oh, here we go. Doc, please. Damn. Can you do that again?
No, why not? Because script over here says, one time only for the sake of production. Oh.
I suck.
Shin Robujira.
Today we're going to be talking about the SH Monster Arts Godzilla Singular Point Godzilla Ultima. Announced and shown off last year, SH Monster Arts started their coverage of the Godzilla Singular Point line with Big Boy over here, announcing Jet Jaguar and a Rodan to follow suit. At first showcase and release, I was entirely uninterested due to the price and knowing that Sham wouldn't deliver their best. But I soon caved when I nabbed Jet Beta and thought, yeah, I need to get Ultima. And here we are! When it comes to Longrod von Hugentail over here, we already know what issues to look out for, so let's just cover that now. If you watched my unboxing video, you know that my copy has more than a few flubs on it, and I discovered a few as I've been messing around with this thing the 2 or 3 weeks that I've had it. So I was going to do this whole segment where I mark off all the flubs into 3 different sections, but we're just going to talk about all the flubs now, and I'll tell you how I feel about them firsthand, so let's just get to doing that. Okay, first off, we have some paint splooches on the neck. Really doesn't bother me at all. We have some spikes at the base of the standard head's neck that aren't properly weathered. Yet again, really doesn't bother me. Just letting y'all know. My copy, for whatever godforsaken reason, has some faded paint on the dorsal fins over here. It's mostly these two over here that are the most egregious. These two over here are mostly towards the bottom ends. Again, I really don't know how that happened or when that happened, but it is present only on one side. We do have some pretty messy paint on the tail over here and over here. Yet again, those paint flubs don't bother me at all. And we do have some pretty messy paint on the forearm over here for the spikes. And yet again, this paint flub doesn't bother me. The only paint flubs on this figure that really bother me are the next two that I'm going to talk about. The first of which is the lesser of two, and that is the paint on the toes over here. Don't get me wrong, I like how this paint looks on the toes. It's just a matter of the paint being kind of on the weak side. This toe over here was muffed up right out of the box. I haven't been dragging this figure across this table at all, yet somehow these are all marked up on the bottom. Same could be said for this toe, though it is extra minor. This toe, which is a little bit worse. And this toe over here that I just don't understand how or when that happened. And I guess as a bonus, the Duke Claws came out okay, but this one isn't fully painted. That's more so a nitpick than anything else. But this Duke Claw over here came out a lot better, except for that fugly little seam it has, but that's not a fault of the paint. Now the toes I really wouldn't call paint flubs, I would more so call them questionable at best, because why in the hell would you put weak paint like that on toes for your figure, where they're going to be standing, where they might get pushed back or forward to the side? The next paint flub, the next major paint flub. I hate this so much, but there's a bit of a hook to it, so bear with me. The standard head on this figure is friggin' egregious. The eyes are terrible. The gums on the chin over here are terrible. For whatever reason, my lower jaw or my upper jaw on this head is friggin' crooked. Look at this. It's friggin' crooked. Half of the fang hangs out, the other one doesn't, and even when you open it up a little bit, you can still see that it's crooked. It actually looks a little bit better. But look at his eyes. It's like this eye rolled up a little bit into his skull and is peeking over his nose. It's like, damn, SH Monster Arts, how long have you been doing this and you still can't get eyes down pat? Come on. I don't know, this is just bad, and what makes it even friggin' worse is this. My man's got plaque buildup on his friggin' teeth on this side only. The yellow paint looks like the exact same yellow paint that was used for the iris of the eye. Don't know why it's on the teeth, but let's take a closer look, shall we? Away, Repskayam! So here you can get a bit of a closer look at this fungal yellow on the teeth. Yet again, don't know why it's present on the teeth at all. It's very weird. And here you can see just how bad the eyes are. Like, this one is just an absolute mess. If this one were more like this one, I feel like I'd like this head a lot more, even with his crooked as heck jaw. Speaking of which, now you can see that gum paint that kind of trails off from the gums to a little bit more so on the chin. The teeth on this side, though, absolutely fared a lot better. And I know this is articulation articulation, but the jaw can open pretty far, much to my surprise, and it does have some nice detail on the membranes over here, on both sides. It's more so once you look on the inside of the mouth where you realize that this mouth definitely got the shaft end of everything. I mean, with the yellow paint, that does like a pattern-esque thing over here because the fang over here was covering this portion of the teeth, to a little bit more of yellow paint on the teeth over here while faint, and just the detail overall on this head on the inside of its mouth really in the greatest. But this mouth wasn't really made to wow with an open mouth. That is more so saved for the savior of this headset. The roaring head is magnificent. Look at all of that amazing detail. Look at all of the teeth. Very nice, very glossy. Very much my preferred head, absolutely. The eyes are a little bit better. Not great or perfect, but still a lot better. The teeth definitely took a hit up here. They look a lot more gaudy, and you can still see some yellow paint on them for whatever friggin' reason. But the teeth on the bottom jaw, including the gums, looks a lot better. I still do have to sing my praises because for the most part, this looks pretty good. And that is why the roaring head is my preferred head, because he's roaring and he looks intimidating instead of looking drunk. This, as far as my copy goes, is the preferred head, the better head. So let's put the head back on and move along. So let's just put this piece back on, get this going, give it a little bit of pressure, and bing bang boom Ronnie, you're done. Oh yeah, we have to reaffirm his ass. This is another downside for this figure. The tail falls off pretty quickly, but the articulation on this thing is indeed magnificent. So magnificent that I will actually do something for an SH Monster Arts release that I've never done before, and I will overlook the fact that it falls off so easily because of this articulation. Now I really don't have to talk about it once we get to articulation, but I still will, don't get me wrong. But yes, the tail does fall off rather easily, but when it comes to holding a pose, this tail does what a lot of sham tails can't. And not gonna lie, the tail goes back on pretty easily. Anyway, now that we are at our preferred form with Sham Ultima over here, really enjoying the gray paint on the neck over here that does follow down below this little piece right here. Yeah, both sides are pretty much going to knock it out of the park in that category. Another area that I'm pretty proud of is going to be the claws over here. The paint isn't as weak as it is on the toes. It's actually all stayed through all the posing and little dips that this guy has had. It's pretty solid. Speaking of solid, I think the gray line starting from Ultima's rib cage all the way up into his neck and chin looks pretty dang good. Not perfect, but still pretty dang good. Now the dorsal fins feature paint that I've wanted on every single Ultima figure that I've bought since the original Movie Monster series figure came out, and it has the orangish red veins on them, and it looks great, but oh, something about the detail on these dorsal fins just feels blasé. I don't know what it is. I feel like the details could have been a little bit on the louder side. They could have looked a lot better. The details just don't grab me, man. I mean, on some of them they look great, but I really do feel like the details on these fins really could have popped, and they start to really taper off once they get to the tail. But the funny thing here is the detail on the spikes for the rest of the tail are honestly a lot better than you'd expect them to be. So I really don't know what happened there, and AO props to SH Monster Arts. They painted all of the fins to the tip of the tail, even though the tip of the tail is a little bit darker than it should be. I'm almost ready to move away from the paint portion of this video, but there's one more thing I need to talk about, and it's rather subtle. Said subtlety is the light and minor highlighting on the thighs and legs over here. I know you lot could probably see it because I have it angled in such a way where the light is really hitting it towards the bottom portion of this armored looking skin Ultima has. You can see some very lightish gray highlighting on that. I think that's really cool. And I like the way it looks so much over here that I really wish it was present on the tail, because it is not present on the tail at all. Bummer. You can see a little bit more of that highlighting near the kneecaps and shins moving into the toes over here. Again, it's a very subtle little painted in detail, but it's truly something I really enjoy. I'm really glad SH Monster Arts did this because it helps the skin on Ultima just pop. Now, as far as I can tell, the only other area you're going to get some of this highlighting is going to be over here on the shoulders, on both sides, and a little bit over here on this little titty stripe that Ultima has. Again, I really wish some of this was present on the tail to a certain degree because it really would have helped the tail be a lot less bland. But then again, this thing is absolutely massive, so I guess it really doesn't need the extra paint to look awesome because, I mean, just look at this. This is ridiculous. I noticed the further back I push this thing, the more you're actually going to see the highlights there, and just like, look at that. Imagine all of this across the tail over here. It'd be perfect. It'd be fantastic. Holy crap, finally, we're done with paint. What's my rating when it comes to the paint? Body-wise, including the dorsal fins, I'm gonna give it a solid star in terms of paint. And even though I really didn't get heavily into detail, I'm also going to give detail a solid star as well in terms of the body. As far as the tail goes, the paint does get a little bit on the messy side, and I am going to have to give paint a half a star in terms of the tail, but detail is going to get a solid star because even when the detail falters, it just still manages to get better in a weird way. And in case anybody forgot, I gave the standard head a half a star in terms of paint and a solid star in terms of detail, and the same for the roaring head. Even though it is my preferred head, I still do think the paint, at least for the eyes, could have been a lot better. So now we're just going to run through detail a little bit more. I do want to talk about the detail on the tail and a little bit on the torso because I feel like I really skipped over those when talking about paint for the most part. So let's just get started with that and then we can move on into articulation. This review is a mess, I know. Now, as far as the tail goes, it may not have those crazy highlights that the legs have, but I gotta give SH Monster Arts credit. The detail on the tail is pretty nominal, not gonna lie to y'all. It doesn't feel copy-pasty. When you feel it, when you touch it, even when you just look at it, it looks, feels, sounds even like a fantastic friggin' tail. Like, this looks great. And you know, looking how the tail kind of meets Godzilla's body, looking like he got a bit of a ball sack over there, and how it moves into his torso over here with the muscle structure and everything, and how they're highlighted and such, it all looks so very good. I mean, again, it looks like Godzilla has armor plating for skin, and this is just perfect. What a friggin' love letter, man. I especially love the amount of detail that was put into the calves over here. I love how they really do protrude, and I love how they just slink right in to the shins, into the ankles and feet. It all just looks so friggin' good. One detail that kind of perplexes me is just that the hands feel like two different sizes. This feels more like a relaxed hand, and this feels more like an angry hand. You see what I'm saying? The fingers over here feel a little bit more extended, while these feel a little bit more closed in. And I wonder why that is. I'm not gonna take points off for it, I'm just letting y'all know. It's a thing. I think my favorite thing about this figure is just going to be the detail, because like SH Monster Arts norm, the detail is everywhere. And while the paint is a bit questionable in some areas, I really do need to give them credit. They gave this guy a fantastic mold and they didn't outfit him with lackluster paint. Flawed paint, yes, but at least he's not KOTM Ghidorah. Now, we can finally friggin' move on to articulation. Alrighty, so up first, we're going to get a ball joint at the head over here, a ball joint at the neck over here, a ball joint at the neck over here, a ball joint at the torso over here, which isn't going to lead to much movement because of the dorsal fins, another ball joint at the torso over here, which again isn't going to lead to much movement because of these here dorsal fins, but if you are careful enough, you will be able to move everything out of the way and get Ultima into a turning pose like so. Don't recommend it though. First and last time I'm doing that. Technically second, but it's still the last time I'm doing that. Yeah. Now, something that I wanted to talk about, since this area over here has a ball joint, pushing Ultima forward is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. This little area on the chest over here is actually on, I guess we can call this a hinge, and this will actually move with the body so it doesn't get all bunched up and such. At least that's how I'm seeing it. I like that it moves up and down like that because it can accommodate for some poses poses, but again, it's not going to improve much of this figure's inability to crouch downwards. But what we can't do with the torso and the neck, we can do with the legs. But before we move to the legs, we can go pretty forward at the shoulder over here. I don't think we can go all that back at the shoulder. Of course, the shoulder is going to be on a ball joint. You will be able to get full rotation at the arm over here. There will be a pretty nice bend at the elbow over here. I like it. I like it a lot. You will also be able to swivel at the forearm a bit, but if you push it too hard, it's gonna pop off, so do be careful. And there's going to be a ball joint at the wrist and at the hand over here, so you will be able to get a wide range of movement from both, including a full rotation. And hey, wouldn't you know it, you can do the exact same thing on the other arm, pretty much to the same degree of things. No issues here. Now, while I'm working with the legs, I took the tail off so it wouldn't fall off mid-take or anything like that and possibly get damaged. Moving on. I'm gonna be honest with you guys and gals, the legs are probably my favorite thing to articulate just because of their wide range of movement. Like, you can get Ultima really, really deep into a crouch. And yes, he can actually stand like that. It's magnificent. Yes, I'm sure other SH Monster Arts figures are capable of doing that as well, but I really don't care. It just looks really, really great on Ultima. It does. And the fact that I can get him so deep down low into a pose is honestly, like, it's going to make me want to pick this figure up again. But anyway, as you saw, there will be a rotation at the thighs over here. There will be a bend forward and a bend in at the knee. Very nice, very smooth. As you saw, there's going to be a bend over here and at the ankle as well, which is very, very nice. It will be very helpful for posing this guy. And another favorite thing that I have about this figure is this magnificent friggin' pivot that he has over here. My god, does this help you get Ultima into some wicked friggin' poses, man. I love this. If they could make every sham foot like this, I wish they would, because this is magnificent. This is so friggin' cool. It's honestly to the point where I just can't get over it. Like, damn, look at that. And everything's so smooth. Nothing feels like it's stuck. Nothing feels like it's gonna break off. It's just so good, man. And for once, I don't feel scared to move the legs around on these. Like, these feel like some pretty high and intense, high-performing barbell joints in here, man. So, I have nothing but confidence in the world in SH Monster Arts' build for Ultima. Just as a heads up, if you're going to be moving the legs around a lot and you have a gap phobia, be sure and be ready to finnick about with the legs until those gaps disappear, because they can disappear. Honestly, gaps really don't bother me, but this figure is surprisingly very, very gapless. Now, when it comes to the tail and posing the tail, I would highly suggest picking Ultima up by the legs and by the tail over here so the tail doesn't do this. Exactly that. This is going to be one of those rare moments where I bring a figure in front of the camera and my face over here just to show you the articulation. Yeah, that happens, but I gotta do this. Ultima can do the Alien 3 cover art pose with his tail. That's really friggin' impressive. Sure, I wish the tail would stay on a bit better, but just the fact that we can get an absolutely premium S-curve out of this tail is awesome. I love that I can go just about any way with it when it comes to that S-curve. Just look at this. And I love that it's got a very nice, tight, and pretty much perfected bend with this tail as well. Like, this is just impressive. This I can actually show in front of the camera. Like, just the fact that the tail can do this and actually hold the pose and not droop, I find that to be just very, very impressive on Sham's part. Like, let's see if I can just mess about with this tail in front of the camera over here, just so you guys and gals can see just the amazing range that this tail is capable of. Granted, I'm probably not the best person to showcase articulation, because I never really focus on it too much, and I know I don't have the craziest of poses here, but look at that. That's not being propped up or anything, it's just staying there. And again, I really love that you can get this tail at a significantly tight angle, give it a nice curve at the end, and it just stays that way. The fact that it holds that for the most part is awesome. I love it. Dear God, This guy is stacked on the articulation, and I think for the first time in my life, I am actually beyond words impressed with the articulation in an SH Monster Arts figure. Nothing droops. Everything's solid. I feel like I can get really great poses with this thing, so articulation's gonna get a solid friggin' star. And just looking at some of the poses that I have left over from the B-roll footage over here, seriously fam, this is the most fun I have had with an SH Monster Arts figure. Recording for a video for as long as I've been recording footage for it, and just messing around with it. I actively pick this thing up and mess around with it, and that is the point of highly articulated figures. This figure, look me in the eyes, don't look away, really did make me a lover of SH Monster Arts. Good. And even with some of the really piss-poor paint applications on this thing, I really can't help but love it. I mean it. I'm serious. No gun to my head or nothing. This is my favorite SH Monster Arts figure. Beats out Godzilla 2000 significantly. But anyway, we have a couple more things to talk about, so let's just get to it. That being Gabi Jr. Jet and the fantastical Jet Jaguar Beta figure. Now, these aren't crazy. Yes, they are properly detailed to an extent. They could be more detailed, of course. But I feel like these are just some nice little bonus surprises at best. Yeah, they're not fully painted. I'm really not bummed out about that. The silhouette of the designs is properly communicated here. No biggie. Not like it matters because I'm going to be getting Sham Jet in by the end of the month, so yeah, there's that. But Jet Beta definitely looks the best out of the two. Again, they're not crazy, but I'm glad they were included. Nice little bonus features for what I would call this triple disc Blu-ray set of a figure. And when it comes to rating the accessories, which is a sub rating, it's not going to be part of the figure's final score, but I'll give them a solid star just for existing and having nice details. Yeah, I have disliked SH Monster Arts for a better part of my YouTube career, I guess we can call it. And to think that that is finally changing. I'm finally opening my eyes to them and the qualities that they do have when they don't absolutely botch a friggin' figure to shit and back. Yeah, there's some figures that I'm just never going to get over, and I apologize for that, and if that angers anybody, I'm sorry. It's also part of my shtick here. I gotta drop it at least once in a review, specifically a review of an SH Monster Arts figure. But anyway, moving on to the final thingy. Size comparison time. Small, medium, large, related stuff. Not perfect, nor fully reflective of the price, yet I still have a hard time not loving this thing, be it for his decent paint or, well, mostly his amazing details and articulation. Make no mistake though, the paint flubs on a $120 figure are pretty inexcusable. But at this point, to expect more from this line is just wasted brain cells. The worst part of all of this is that I kinda lucked out with this paint, flubs and all. I've seen multitudes of reports of this guy not having his eyes fully painted or painted at all. Still egregious there, Sham. Still egregious. 2 half stars, 6 full stars. This is an awesome figure. Do I have issues with it? Absolutely. Is my Godzilla Ultima bias shining a little bit with this review? Possibly. But even then, Shin Godzilla is my friggin' Godzilla design bias. That is my favorite Godzilla design bar none. And I still ripped that motherfucker a new butthole when I re-reviewed him last year. So, this is not just new figure goggles. This is not design bias at work. I genuinely do. Open your ears. He's gonna say it again. I genuinely do love this figure, and I genuinely do recommend it to anybody interested. Yeah, it's gonna set you $120 to $140 back, but I feel I got my money's worth. Dear God, what is happening to me? So until next time, everybody, I will see you all then and there. Hope you enjoyed the review. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All that YouTuber shit. And with whatever I talk about next, I'll see you there. Bye, everybody. Finally, I'm free. Let's get started on that review there, Rob. I have a lot to say. Hate to break it to you, kid, but the review's over. What? But hey, wait, I thought we were supposed to do all of this together. If it makes you feel any better, the figure got 2 half stars and 6 full stars, so it's positive. You're a Shamathon exclusive there, buddy. I'm sorry. This is just a brand new figure review. That's it. We're not tying all of this in together. I do not have the brain capacity for that. Fine, you can chime in on SP Jet and Rodan as well.
Oh, joy!
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna regret this.